Just as a starting point, just to give you a flavour of some of the work that we've done recently in the last year or so at AMV. I think top left, you're probably all familiar with the Snickers stunt we did last year, where we partnered with a few celebrities to get them to tweet out of character. So Katie Price was tweeting about the global economic crisis, Rio Ferdinand about his love of knitting, and so on, before the classic promotional shot at the end of them with the Snickers bar. And that was to launch the new positioning for Snickers, and it showed that with 25 tweets, we reached 26 million people and got mentioned in the House of Commons as well. So it shows that Twitter can get you reach in a really good way. On the right-hand side, more recently for Mercedes, we've done some nice work, which was a TV campaign, but led by Twitter, called U-Drive, which during the first weekend of the live shows on X Factor, we had a split-screen ending to the TV adverts, and viewers could decide which hashtag on either side of the screen they wanted to tweet about, and that then determined what the next advert in the next ad break was going to be. So we did that for the whole weekend, so viewers were essentially in some way able to test drive the car and choose their own ending of where the adverts went, and all that content was online throughout the weekend as well. Kids Company, quite recently, we partnered with them to do a series of vines to basically show children in distress situations, so such as highlighting the fact that some children eat out of dustbins and so on and so forth. And what we did with that vine was at the end of it, there was a call to action to donate, to make it stop, which was the hashtag we used, and promoted tweets to support it. And if you did donate, then you got one of the auto text message replies, which gave you another vine showing the children in happier situations. So it's a nice reward for people that did donate, combining Vine, Twitter, and text messaging. And then finally, briefly, on the bottom right-hand side, BT Infinity, we've done some work called Live from the 34th Floor, which is essentially using artists such as Rizzle Conor Maynard, Talisa, who perform live on the 34th floor in BT Tower. And then on Twitter, you can get involved, you can impact what song they're going to do next, they can interact with you during their performance. So again, all of these things hopefully lead to the fact that it's about good quality content and driven through Twitter and driving interactions around the content that way. But as I say, I'm going to talk about Doritos for 10 minutes to give you a flavour of what we're doing there. So the first thing to say is that it's a really nice brand platform that we've got. So you've probably seen the Mariachi band on TV and elsewhere. And what they're doing is that band is a metaphor for the brand. So they're really symbolising the fun, the party, all those elements and qualities that Doritos as a brand want to communicate. And so that straight away lends itself nicely to social. So it's a nice starting point for us, which is useful. And I'll just play you the 30-second ad just as a reminder of what the Mariachi band are up to.
Vamos. The people don't know what to think at first, but after we start playing, they get it.
We are Mariachi Doritos. We bring the party to the party.
Doritos, for fun, and a little Mexican.
So that's a long-term brand platform for us, which we know is going to be there for a while. And as I say, those qualities of fun, party, Mexican are important in the way we plan content and the content pillars and how we measure individual bits of content in social media. Specifically, everything ladders up to the idea of the business objectives, which are to drive loyalty and household penetration. That is to get more and more households around the UK to purchase Doritos than do at the moment. And those two ideas of loyalty and penetration kind of lend themselves to the brand and the product. So I think for those of you that work on FMCG brands, you'll probably be familiar with the fact that it's important to get the product front of mind and making sure that we communicate that regularly as well as the brand comms. And we pretty much think about loyalty as being the product messaging and penetration being around the campaign comms and the brand, the Mariachi band. And there's crossover between the two. And everything between those really works the idea of parties. And so we say that Doritos make any party better. Ollie will probably challenge me on that because I did offer to bring a couple of boxes of Doritos down tonight, but I think he made the right call on going for Pizza East food instead of Doritos. And I've had quite enough of them today anyway. So within Twitter, that then lends itself nicely to the hashtag Doritos Party. So that's what we tend to use throughout the year. Also promoted trends and promoted tweets around that as well. And then on Mondays, we often use Dorito After Party, and we've run that as a promoted trend as well. So everything kind of ladders up to the idea of the second half of the week being your party time. And that plays itself into 3 key principles that we have on Twitter. So the first of those, you saw what's coming there. The first of those is that Doritos party, which is linking the brand and the product messaging together. We do that in a number of ways. The second is that distinctive tone of voice. So that's in the tweets we make. I've eaten too many Doritos, said no one ever as one example, but many others. Threesome tonight, where we combine it with the product message. And of course, we do that in replies to fans as well to make sure the tone of voice is appropriate there, as you're all familiar with. And then thirdly, and most importantly probably, is how we plan and react around our fans. And we think about proactive and reactive content, so things that we can plan for the moment and make sure that we can be in place to communicate the right things at the right times, and also react. And it's always around the fans, and so we do a lot of social listening to make sure that that influences what we do in the future in social media. So going into the detail of planning for the moment, there are key spikes throughout the year for Doritos, as other brands, where they have their main sales points. And so we've really looked at these micro spike other times of the year, such as Easter, bank holidays, Freshers Week, Halloween, etc., and how we can increase sales at those points of the year by increasing our Twitter activity and wider social media activity at those points of the year. And so those are our micro spikes. We run the activity around a lot of promoted trends and promoted tweets focused on these stages in the year. And then there are times like Christmas when we have bigger, more concerted work as well, and that actually went from social to TV, as I'll come on to. So going through a few examples of each of those, the first thing to say is that we try and use the brand comms of the Mariachi Band as much as possible all year round and integrate that throughout the year so that there's always that consistency of look and feel to what we do and getting the point across about the metaphor for the brand that they are. So a mechanic like this, for example, where we have the shoots, we get them to hold the whiteboard and then we can put whatever messaging we want onto it, allows us to then personalize responses for fans. So in this case, a fan called Mikey who told us about his birthday, we could get back to him with personalized message straight away from that. And all the community managers are trained up in Photoshop, so they can do the kind of the fast turnaround nature of that to make that happen. So that's at a basic level. Taking that step further, for Halloween, we again took the principles of personalized image replies, which we try and do as much as possible. So on October the 31st, we asked our fans to tweet us a picture of yourself that will then Halloweenify and make scary in some way. And when they did that, we, within half an hour to an hour or so for each response, got straight on it and tweeted these images back to them. So again, it's this idea of this personalized reward that we can give to fans by planning for the moment, planning ahead, getting the right team in place at the right time and knowing what our different responses might be ahead of time. And again, that nice personal touch for fans, I think we don't always try and PR everything we do or big up, but it's just something for our fans. They know they can come to Doritos for the kind of the personalized rewards. At Christmas, we did some social video, which you may well have seen, which was a spoof of E17's classic Stay. So you saw the Mariachi Band dressed up there in all their glory. I think they absolutely loved that shoot. And so that was actually a social video that we put across all different social platforms and promoted, amplified, and then off the success of that, we then put that onto TV as well. So that's a nice example of how some of the social work we do can actually go above the line as well. And at the same time of this, we ran this for about 6 weeks, along with other image content throughout that period, and we tracked it against Nielsen measures. And we found some really positive results. So average engagement within social was up 5 times to normal. Reach and frequency over that 6-week period was pretty much identical to what Doritos would normally find on their TV advertising over a similar sort of period. So we actually had for the first time, the marketing director at PepsiCo saying, well, actually, should I be pumping all my money into social media? And the answer to that's no. It needs to be integrated. But it's nice that that question was asked and that mindset is coming through at a senior level in a client like that. The point at the bottom as well about purchase intent. So we saw really positive scores of recommendation intent and purchase intent. And again, that signifies that social media can drive those business and brand metrics in positive ways. Another time of the year is around fan milestones. So we ran the Doritos mural when we set when we hit a certain fan milestone. And for this, on the day that we hit the milestone, we got a live artist using a blank wall actually in AMV, and it's still up there, which I'm grateful to the team for allowing to stay on the wall. And that was based on all fans' comments. So we asked them throughout the day to tweet in whatever they wanted the artist to draw. And throughout the course of the day, we'd get back to the individual fans with their little picks, such as if it was they that asked for the crocodile or the pirate Dorito and so on, then we'd send a personalized image response back to that person. And at the end of the day, that was used as content across different social platforms. So again, something that we can plan in advance for, and a different way of getting our fans at the center of the content we create. Sorry. The next one is what we did recently for during Easter on Vine. And some of you may have seen this. It was a promoted trend that we ran. And it was using Vine, but specifically the sound of Vine, the fact that the default is mute. We thought, well, how can we play with that? And so we ran a Name That Tune competition, where we used the mariachi band during the course of that day to play different songs, the first 6 seconds of lots of different songs, and then a competition for people to guess what the song was, and we gave out prizes. So here's one of them, which you'll probably be able to tell what it is. So nice bit of Bjork. And so we had about 10 or 12 of those over the course of the day. We found engagement scores were terrific, up at towards 30% mark, so above the average for promoted trends, and beyond that as well, some positive scores in other ways. So nice that we can try and use Vine in a slightly different way to how it's been used before, and I think that's kind of the right space for Doritos to plan that content in ahead and do that throughout 24 hours. So those are a few examples, and I'll just take a pause here just to talk you through a bit about how we think about the process for planning for the moment and creating fast turnaround content. So starting from the middle at the top, we've got the ideas, which are led by the social content manager and the community manager based on their knowledge of the fan base and what our fans would like to see. When we react to things, I'm going to show you a couple of examples in a minute of how we react. That's really led by social listening, as you'll be familiar with. Over to the brief, which again, if we're planning for the moment, we've got a bit longer to do, so we're able to brief the right people, including the brand team, to make sure the client at that stage gives us approval to do it, and then through our relationship, they trust us to do the rest, which is good. When we react again, if something's in the news and we react to it, then that brief goes out the window, and it's really getting that approval there, and then to pretty much a paragraphed email that we send over to them. At the bottom, create, so we can create things in many different ways. Obviously, AMV, big agency, legacy of content production. And so we can create from small images via mobile to the more lavish shoots. And so something like the kids company Vine I talked to you about earlier was about a 10 to 15 person crew in a standard TV production sort of way, but actually the director was end up there with a mobile phone, which he probably had never done before. So we create it, and then finally we activate it, and of course that's the community manager who launches it in response to fans as well. So that's the basis of our model, and then I'll just give you a couple of examples of how we react to things. So firstly, this is example, you may recognize. I don't know if that's a particularly unflattering image or whether he is just a really, really good fan of Doritos. He certainly proves it on Twitter. And so when one day he did talk about Doritos on Twitter, we decided straight away to get back to him. He was talking about chili heat wave crisps, and so we got back to him with a pack of chili heat rave as a nice little gesture to him and all his followers, who then shared that. That's a simple way of doing it. We took it a step further for Ross Noble when he was on the Graham Norton show last year. And so he went on there without us knowing about it, and while he was on there, he encouraged all those BBC One viewers to Twitter bomb Doritos with funny random questions. And he said, what does a brand like Doritos need a Twitter account? So do they just say, I'm still cheesy again? And we haven't really thought about that, so maybe we should tweet that sometime. But of course, off the back of that, lots and lots of people tweeted us with funny random questions that we, the next day, had to think about what we'd do to reply to them. And so this one that you can't see says, is it okay for my hamster to use a Dorito as a sledge so he can go sledging down the stairs? So I think some brands would have maybe tried to ignore that. I think some of the better brands would have responded with a funny one-liner in the right tone of voice. we thought we'd take it a step further and go the extra mile for our fans and create an image of that hamster sledging down the stairs on a Dorito. Similarly, we were asked, how many cheesy Doritos do you need to use to get a spray tan? And there are people every now and then that talk about when you eat a Doritos, they rub off on your fingers and it looks like you've got a spray tan. So we created Doritos Tanny Cheese rather than Tangy Cheese, and did a bottle that we could share for that. Many more examples, and I'll play a quick film in a moment of it, including one of, can you use Doritos to make a cheesy set of pantomime Spock ears? And we thought a bit longer about this one and realised that actually someone sitting on our floor was a bit of a lookalike to Spock. And so we got him involved in the act and did that. So different ways of creating content, as Ollie said earlier, doesn't need to be the most polished in this case, but the speed of response was one of the important factors here. And again, that personalised, going the extra mile in our responses rather than just a text one-liner, and we did plenty of those as well. And of course, making sure that we end the day with a gift to the guy that started in the first place, Ross Noble, which he then retweeted to his 300,000 fans, and we got the added engagement out of that as well. I think there's a film coming up, just to quickly summarise that work.
On BBC One's Friday night chat show, The Graham Norton Show, British comedian Ross Noble questioned why a brand like Doritos needs a Twitter account. And spoke about people Twitter bombing them with random funny questions. Which they did. So we played along and responded in our own special way. And ended the day with a gift to the person responsible for all this in the first place. In just one day, we responded to over 60 questions, had 100% positive sentiment, and grew followers by 50%.
So a fun bit of work that shows that we can react as well as plan in the moment and really take advantage of the TV buzz that you can get randomly without knowing about it. And obviously Mark's going to talk about that in a brilliant way with links in a moment. So just to wrap up, some of our guiding thoughts on Doritos are around planning for the moment, obviously, and in our case around key moments, micro spikes throughout the year which lend themselves to the party occasion. And making sure that we prepare assets in advance so that the brand always comes across in as much of what we can do as possible. Integrating it all year round. So again, while there are campaign spikes, making sure that the brand assets, the mariachi band, feel fully integrated. And that is an example of where the social video can go and appear on TV. Making it easy and fun for fans to engage. Hopefully you get the sense of some of the examples I've shown you today that it's all quite easy to interact with, and there are no great barriers to what we're asking our fans to do, and so that hopefully forms that one connection and gets fans coming back for more. And then finally, going the extra mile. So we always try and think about, yeah, we could do that, but actually with Doritos, can we go the extra mile? And I think that's a nice guiding thought for a lot of social media, not just a fun brand like that.